Being Truthful, the 2nd of October, 2024. Design a projectile. If you don't know the prophet, you don't know religion. Why would a laptop overheat? It is known to some artists and designers that they need to have acquired a new design of computer systems if they want to continue producing new artistic designs. There are many times where you would see a video explaining the new features of the new Apple products, which I dislike. It is not the design that matters, it is the functionality. If a product works, then it is good enough. In our modern days, we try to get new phones and new electronics, thinking that new means better. That actually is a fallacy. It is not better just because it can calculate and produce results more and more quickly. It is only working to fit a category. That is all. If you use a software called Blender to design your art, you would realize this. At very huge projects, your laptop would die on you. But the reason is not because your laptop is bad. It is because we use design methods that do not come with consideration to the graphics drive's limited capabilities. Nothing can demonstrate to you the meaning of infinity. When you have a simple cube and you use a gradient coloring scheme, if you go to the UV mapping and you select all the points that the cube had cast on the gradient image or color picker, your graphics card would be calculating the color of each point. When having to do that for small quantities, for example, only 8 single points or vertices, if your card had to calculate and demonstrate the color of each of those points individually, it will surely suffer to do that when the difference between one point and the other is very small. Therefore, if you select all the points and slowly reduce the size of the difference between them, that is by pressing S, if you slowly size the difference down, your laptop will overheat. This means that the reason why new games require new systems is because the graphics capabilities in each system is dependent upon the demand of each system. If in one system we are required to calculate and demonstrate the difference between two colors simply by their names, then we get the natural colors. But if we try to represent the somewhat bluish color with the somewhat bluish color and the somewhat bluish color, do you get the idea? If a computer has to demonstrate the decimal difference or the microdecimal difference between 2 or 8 numbers continuously, it would struggle to do so, especially if the difference between those numbers is very small. It is like he was asked about the woke movement and replied, "I hope not." Why is the woke movement a bad thing? Because it allows people to change their gender, a creation by God. That is one of the main sins of Satan. It is like people are identifying those they do not identify with. It is like each individual has a certain party that they do not identify with. It is like every person is identifying what resembles hell for them. Designer contest. Wake up call. Not my wake up call. You are fascinating. Mom, I'm designing a game. If every country is different than the other, then tasting the country's tap water is akin to tasting what the country would taste like. To code it in a way that the menu would have its own cursor, as though the Windows cursor, but the game would have its own. The city of holograms, the infestation thereof, of neglection and illusion. Is it an illusion to claim that illusion does not prevail, ever? Was there a never before any ever? You think you know what you see, but what you saw was lies. If their numbers count is even significant. It is those who make or break. There is some illness to the concept of scenery. There is some wisdom in not showing off. There is a way in every darkness. There is a way which you still can't see, or possibly can. There is wisdom in limitation. There is wisdom in reality. There is wisdom in being truthful.